sponsored by the Securities and Exchange Commission of Nigeria.
Stakeholders in Nigeria's capital market met in Abuja recently for an investment forum, the first in a series of events to commemorate 50 years of capital market activity in Nigeria.
It is a year-long series of events which will end on the 31st of October 2012. The theme of Project 50 is Nigeria, the preferred investment destination. And for this event today, the 31st of October, we basically had different stakeholders, both from Nigeria and outside of Nigeria, review first the economy, second, the regulatory environment for the economy, third, the capital markets, fourth, the opportunities in different sectors of the economy, and fifth, just analyzing where we are today, where we'd like to be, and what it will take for us to get there.
Central to discussions at the forum is the prospect for Nigeria's economy, sub-Saharan Africa's largest consumer market and second largest economy.
I've been in the investment business for 43 years. I bought a seat on the New York Stock Exchange in 1973. And today, I can say sincerely that I am more excited about the potential for Nigeria than I have been in those 43 years.
What we're aware of is it's been growing at over 8% a year for a decade, which is more than enough to double the economy every 10 years, quicker than that in fact, and that growth has happened despite problems with electricity. It's suggesting that if electricity reform works here over the next 2 to 3 years, we could be seeing 10, 11 or more percent growth rates, which would be helping double the economy every 7 years. So it looks like Nigeria has begun the takeoff, and the takeoff has happened globally everywhere. It's happened in the States back in the 18th century, 19th century. It's happened in Europe. It happened in Asia. It's happening in Africa. There's 11 countries growing at more than 7% a year in Africa for the last decade, and Nigeria is in the top 10 globally for the speed of growth.
The size of Nigeria's economy and population draws comparisons with Brazil, and analysts point to government reforms in Brazil in the 1980s and 1990s as a reference point for Nigeria's government.
The state system, the federal system, is very similar in the two. Federal government can't always achieve what it wants in Brazil. But once the federal government started to get it right in Brazil, which basically meant not getting it wrong anymore, once they stopped getting it wrong, then the underlying dynamism in the economy, as in almost any economy, started to come through. And Brazil leapt up in leaps and bounds. It did tremendously better in so many different sectors. It did it in agriculture. It did it even in industries that no one expected Brazil to be able to do well in, such as aircraft manufacturing. And where did that come from? And yet these things did happen. And Nigeria is making progress in agriculture. It's been one of the big growth sectors of the last 10 years. This government again seems intent on making that happen much, much faster. At the rate of population growth as projected, I've heard people suggest it'll be the third biggest country in the world by 2050, after India and after China. Now we're seeing a 27% fall in the number of young people in China now, 15 to 24-year-olds, 27% fall this decade. In West Africa, it's growing at nearly 30%. So you're seeing population slowing dramatically in China and still booming in Nigeria. Demographics alone make it a market that could do well on its own. And with the economies of scale of being that big, if a company can make it here, they can make it anywhere.
For the regulators, I thought it was great to hear the CEO of the Kenyan Capital Markets Authority outline some of the things that are also happening in Nigeria. So in a sense, the regulators around the world are doing very much the same thing. Similarly, the head of capital markets at the Financial Services Board in South Africa highlight similar things that they're doing in South Africa. What I hope that we did on the regulators panel is showcase the level of cooperation amongst the regulators in Nigeria, the Central Bank, the Pension Commission, the Insurance Commission, and ourselves, the Securities and Exchange Commission, Nigeria.
The forum also highlighted efforts to deepen Nigeria's capital market and to boost liquidity.
What you have in terms of creating a mortgage-backed securities market that can have those securities listed on the Nigerian exchange is very exciting.
The stock market, as you know, our target is to grow the market from $74 billion to $1 trillion in 5 years, and to have 5 products within those 5 years. So we expect to have a vibrant, deep, liquid, multi-product stock market where you can have both the regular plain vanilla securities trading, but also have proper derivative securities trading as well.
We believe that the worst is over for the Nigerian capital markets. Over the past couple of years, the markets have strengthened. There's greater corporate governance. There's a better team in charge of the affairs, regulating the market. And we think that what is needed now is just investor confidence.
Members of the government's cabinet also took the time to highlight investment opportunities in Nigeria and what the government is doing to facilitate capital inflows into the country.
You had each of the sector representatives basically making a pitch about why their own particular sector is the most exciting sector, whether it be power in terms of the transformation agenda of the Nigerian government and some of the investment opportunities in the power sector, and what the power ministry is doing to ensure that the environment enables private sector to participate. In fact, I think he was essentially saying that government is leaving the power sector and preparing the way for the private sector to participate in that sector.
We have established an Australian-Nigerian Trade and Investment Council to help drive investments into mining, into agriculture, into energy, and into the financial services sector. We intend to adopt the same policy by setting up the same councils in about 7 other strategic countries.
The housing minister was amazing in terms of the goal that she's outlined of us looking at developing 1 million units per year. It reminds me very much of what President Lula basically outlined many years ago in Brazil, and that they actually achieved it through the years, and what it did to the economy, because housing provides shelter, but it also provides collateral for people to get credit for their small and medium scale enterprises. I was also fascinated by the transformation agenda in agriculture, given that 40% of Nigeria's GDP is actually in agriculture, and I hear that about 70% of those who are employed are actually employed in agriculture. And that agenda to transform it from what the minister described as farming to developing real businesses, him making a business case for the value of investing in agriculture. What we're planning to do following this investor forum is to organize specific forum focused on specific sectors. We'll be working with the Ministry of Power, as well as some private sector sponsors who are interested in trying to unleash the potential of this sector. We do plan to have something on housing. We would like to have something on ICT and venture capital and private equity, because we do believe that with some of the support that Silicon Valley gave to technology, the technology industry, that venture capital was very much a part of the story of ICT. So we think that if we do have a conference that focuses on venture capital, ICT, private equity, and brings it all together, it's something that should certainly be a follow-up to this forum that we had today. And I've already had a discussion with the Honorable Minister of Information and Communications Technology in this respect. One of the other things that we will do, possibly in February or March, is focus on the importance of women investing.
The event was also an opportunity for reflection. Over the last 50 years, the capital market has played a crucial role in the growth of companies like Flour Mills of Nigeria, one of the largest companies on the Nigerian bourse, with a market capitalization of $770 million.
We've been always relying largely on the capital markets not only for raising equity capital, but also for raising debt capital. You may recall last year we have been fortunate enough to raise the largest ever corporate bond in the history of West Africa. We raised approximately $250 million in Naira. So this wouldn't be possible without a very well developed structure and functional capital market.
As Nigeria takes strides towards global economic leadership over the next decade, the capital market will play an important role in providing the funds required for economic growth and development.
The capital market, as we know, is critical to development. Every time we talk about Nigeria, we talk about infrastructure, we talk about power, we talk about refineries. And we've got to ask the fundamental question: where do you get the long-term funding in local currency to finance those needs? And you've got to turn to the capital market. We've got over 2 trillion naira right now in pension funds, and those funds are not finding their way into infrastructure. You need the capital market to facilitate intermediation of those funds into these areas. We do need PE funds, we need venture capital funds, we do need strong and high quality advisory services, and we do need a vibrant capital market. And we need to take advantage of the pensions and insurance reforms to make sure that long-term savings are actually channeled into the capital market.
The forum ended with the inaugural showing of Breeze, a movie sponsored by the Securities and Exchange Commission. It drew attention to Africa's largest movie industry and a subset of a broader billion-dollar creative industry that is taking the world by storm. Indeed, Nigeria is open for business, and ongoing capital market reforms complement the economic development program of the government and should make Nigeria truly the preferred investment destination for years to come.